Nope. 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 All right, I'm gonna make a step stool, but I don't have any thick cherry to do the legs. I do have a bunch of 4/4, so I guess I'm doing some glue ups. These boards are a little bit too wide for my joiner, but no big deal. Had to take the guard off and then hit that little strip that's left over with a hand plane, then I can run it through my planer. By ripping the boards and then flipping them like this, now all that grain is consistent and that glue line should disappear. I want the stool's legs to have a really big roundover, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a giant roundover bit that I'm never going to use again. So we're going to have to get creative and do a lot more manual work. But take a look at these things. These things turned out really good. Now that is an invisible seam line because you can see there are actually two different pieces there. Nice. All right, now I need I took a 2x4 and I cut a notch out of it. Now this is really easy. I just set my blade at 45 degrees, ran it through, rotate it, run it through again. That gives me my notch. Now my board will fit inside that and I can run this through the planer and remove that top corner there. And then we'll take some sandpaper and, you know, profile it. Hold this in place, I'm gonna use some hot glue. I need to make a sanding block for the curve. Well, I got my block. I got some Forstner bits. Something like this. Drill a hole in the block, then go over to the table saw, cut that block in half. Then I have a curve for me to, you know, what you working on? Sanding table legs? What are you working on? Making a pair of boots. Oh yeah? How's that treating you? I think pretty good. Those look so good. Well, you don't like them? No, it's just, you can buy boots. You don't have to make your own. We're makers. We kind of like things that are handmade. Hey, I totally appreciate that you want handmade boots, but there's an easier way. Why don't you try JK Boots? They're a small business here in the United States and they hand make their boots. So you're getting that maker quality that you want from people who actually know how to make boots. Their boots are made here in the United States, plus they're using American sourced materials. So I know that that's something you're gonna want to support. They're really durable. They're made to be worn in the shop or out in the woods. Plus they're really comfortable. You know that weird boot break-in period you have where you put on a new pair of boots and they kind of hurt your feet for a couple weeks until they start to feel better? I didn't have that with these. These fit great right out of the box. If you use the affiliate link down in the description below or use the coupon code NewtonMakes, you're gonna get 20 bucks off your order. All right, you convinced me, but what are we gonna do with these? Those things are only good for one thing. This feels right. Whew, that was quite a bit of work, but they look pretty cool. Now we need some stretchers. So we gotta do some wide stretchers for the front and the back, and then shorter ones that will be for the sides. So I need to get some wood milled up for that, and then also some stretchers down here below. So I wanna make sure I cut these lengthwise the same time so that those stretchers on the top are the same length as the ones on the bottom. Otherwise you end up with, you know, we don't want that. I can finally start to see how this thing's gonna look, and it's coming together. I still gotta cut the legs because they're extra long. Then I'll throw in some dominoes for the top stretcher, and then the bottom stretcher, glue up the front, glue up the back. Then whenever those are dry, I can connect those two doing the side stretchers. Got the front and the back glued up, so take a look at these. Looks really good, nice profiles. And now I need to do the short stretcher, which will go that way. All right, well, it's not glued together yet, but at least I can see the whole thing. And before I glue it, I need runners right here. That's gonna help for the bottom step. So I need to get those made. Now, what I like about this is that, you know, I'm using dominoes. You could use loose mortise and tin, which is the same thing, but without the domino. But you know what? You could also do this whole thing with pocket screws too, because all the joinery is hidden. So it's kind of a universal project, which I dig. I got a big piece of MDF here, and I have a lot of sandpaper sheets. So I'm going to take some spray adhesive and glue these down onto this piece of MDF, and that's going to give me one giant sanding sheet, and then I can put my stool on here and do a little bit of this action. I milled up some cherry to about 1 inch thick. Now I'm gluing these boards together. This is going to be the top step of the stool, and then I got to do this all over again to do the bottom step. I can slide the bottom step into place. Now I got to figure out the legs for that step. So I can take my legs and I got to press them up against here and then just place a mark and cut them short so they stop at the same length as the legs for the main component. Then I'll have to actually make an apron or a stretcher that runs from one leg over to the other and attach that to the top here. I'm also going to end up putting another apron on the back side, and that is going to run in between these two stretchers that go across here. That way it can slide back and forth. It has a positive stop, and then it also doesn't, you know, rack a lot whenever you're pulling it in and out. I use some double-sided tape to tape the back runner in here so I can move this out, and you see how it has a positive stop back, and it stops again. So now that it's taped in, I can take this whole thing out, put some screws in here, then it's going to be permanently in place. This drill bit here is fantastic. It's a no marring bit, so I can drill it. It's going to countersink it for me, and it doesn't mar the surface here. It's the best countersinking bit I've ever used. Not sponsored. I want the top to be flush with all sides of the base. So I went over to the table saw and cut it to length and width so that that looks good. And then I also want to mimic these profiles on the legs that we made. So I went over to the disc sander and just sanded away the corners of it, just roughly, because I'll do some fine tuning with an orbital sander to make sure that everything is smooth. To attach the top to the base, I'm gonna use these. These are skirt washers. So you take a Forstner bit, and you drill a hole down until the washer is flush with the top of your apron. And you screw that into place. You put a screw through the slot into your tabletop, and then it allows your tabletop to move back and forth, expansion and contraction over the seasons. So they are pretty cool. I'll put a link down in the description to where you can buy some of these. All right, we got us a stool. So now comes the fun part, all the cleanup work. So I've got to sand everything. I need to round over these corners here, all the rough sides here. I'll still have the glue on it. So all of this, all has to get sanded. The edge is broken. So that's gonna definitely be a while, but it'll be worth it because after that, we get to put that first coat of finish on, and that's always one of my favorite parts. After a whole lot of work and a whole lot of sanding, it is finally time to apply finish. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now this is a step stool, so we need a good amount of protection with it. So I'm gonna go with a wipe-on poly for the finish. I'm gonna apply at least 3 coats, and then we'll see if I need any more after that.